Hi everyone, it's Beth from Michigan. I am doing a few videos here to let you know what a sacrococopalazzi, I should learn how to say that, journey is. There are so many videos out there that talk about a bladder prolapse, pelvic floor reconstruction, and those type of things, pelvic vault surgeries, but none of them that I could find when I was prepping for my procedure dealt with if you've already had a hysterectomy. So my channel is all about bladder prolapse after having already had a hysterectomy years ago and having the prolapse and the bladder sling surgery after already having the hysterectomy years ago. So my videos are after having that, and hopefully will be a help to you. So today's video, I'm going to talk a little bit about the day of. This is Saturday. I had my surgery on Wednesday, and I'm feeling great today. I have felt great since the surgery. Wednesday morning, well, I'll back up. I had about 10 days before or so, I had a pre-op virtual visit with the doctor's PA. She went over some of the general things that had happened. Just your run-of-the-mill things. Okay, this is going to happen when you arrive. We're going to go through these. Let's go through your med lists, those type of things. I also, a day or so later, had an in-person visit. The local hospital here does, for all their surgery patients, just does a EKG, does blood work, does in-person med checks, blood pressure, just physical look at you, heart, everything, just to make sure you're in a physical mindset, knows what you're into for the surgery, for any surgery, I guess. So I met with that person. So that was all about 2 weeks before the surgery. So 2 visits, a virtual and an in-person. And then about 10 days before, that also gave me, in those visits, a list of my meds. Went over those, which ones I had to stop before the surgery, which ones I had to could keep taking. I am a rheumatoid arthritis, and I take lots of supplements, so and blood pressure. And I'm on weight loss meds. So I have several different meds that I take. So in this process, about 10 days before, I had to stop taking all of my supplements. I had to stop taking most of my rheumatoid arthritis meds. Found out I could still take my monthly infusion for my rheumatoid, which was fabulous. I didn't know how I was going to do it if I did not take that infusion. So I could take that. That was about a week before the procedure. And that was great. I could, they gave me a list. It said this date, this date, this date, this date. Could fill my pill bottles, everything. It was wonderful. So those were the 2 weeks or so before the surgery date. Then a week before, or about a week before, I got a cold from my grandchildren. My husband and I both came down with it the same day. That was New Year's Day. On our way to my daughter's house for dinner for my birthday, and we both looked at each other and said, you feel like you're getting a cold? We're like, yeah, this is not good. A week before surgery. So we started popping. We don't do a lot of drugs that unless we need to. So we try to do a lot of holistic type things. So we started popping all the holistic things that we could, especially being so close to surgery. I didn't know what I could take, what I couldn't take. So I did all the homeopathic things I could, knocked that cold out as much as I could. I did not want to get my surgery date postponed. I still have a lot in my nose, but they let me do the surgery. Showed up. I had to be there at 6:30, so that meant I could not eat and drink anything after 11:30 the night before. I could eat, or that was my last meal at 11:30. I did a protein shake at 11:30. 2:30 was the last time I could drink anything. 2:30 a.m. And then that meant we arrived at 6:30 and was brought back to the room finally. About 6:45 they finally called me back. I was pretty anxious. I'm not going to lie, I did cry wait in the waiting room. I was very, very nervous. Did not want to do this. And I think a lot of that had to do with all of the videos that I saw. All of the information that I read was about a lot of pain in recovery. And honestly, the biggest thing was the fact that I would not be able to lift my grandchildren. I have 8 grandchildren under 3.5 years old, and they are my life. I am also a flower farmer, and I will be coming into a busy season, obviously, in the next 2 months. And it's scary to not be able to lift and not be able to have that part of my life. I am very active with my grandchildren, and that was scary. So I was very weepy, waiting to go in. But beside the fact they brought me back to the room, it's a very, very busy surgery area. I found out. So they brought me back to the room. The nurse was super kind, super helpful. She gave me a swab to swab the inside of my nose, and swab the inside of my mouth, and then a wipe. I had to wipe my whole body down. Before that, before I even when I left my home, I had to go to bed in clean sheets and clean nightgown and everything the night before. And then the morning of, I had to wash with a hydrochloroxide type wash. So I had to take a shower at home with a wash, and then when I got to the hospital, I had to wipe down, 1 wipe on each limb, 1 wipe for the front of my body, 1 wipe for the back side of my body, and then put on a sterile gown and climb into bed. And then wait for the other things to happen. The doctor came in and talked to me. I had to sign the paperwork. The anesthesiologist came in and talked to me. I had to sign her paperwork. The blood draws, the IV got put in. One thing I must note is I wanted to bank my own blood. I am not vaccinated for COVID or anything like that. So I did not want to take the risk of, if I would happen to bleed a lot and need a transfusion, getting someone's blood that has vaccination. So I had previously banked my own blood. The doctor obviously thought it was a little weird, and a lot of other people did too. But I did also get a lot of positives on that. So that was cool to get some of the nurses and things say, oh, that's neat. I didn't know you could do that. Those kind of reactions. So I did bank 1 unit of blood. I wanted to bank 2. The doctor had ordered 2, but my hemoglobin was too low to bank the 2. So I would strongly encourage you, if you are going to go through this and you do not want blood that has been tainted with a COVID vaccination, the general population blood, most of it is tainted. So if you do not want tainted blood, to bank your own blood, the hospital does allow it and must allow you to do that. So find out your procedures to do that. Most of them, it has to be done at least a month ahead. So check into the rules on that ahead of time. Just my little FYI. I don't want to get into debate about that, but you can make your own decision on that. So I checked to make sure that blood was there. It was. They called down, made sure everything was there. So they did the blood draw. They did all of those things, and then I waited. A half an hour later or so, they came and got me and brought me down to the operating room. I was transferred to the operating bed 8:30 on the dot. I heard someone make a comment, wow, we were out right on time, 8:30. Surgery was supposed to be at 8:30. Here we are, 8:30 on the dot. So that was kind of cool. I didn't keep them, make them behind schedule. So, yeah, that was that morning. And then the one thing that my husband said, I was a little out of it. And I think that was a little because so much is happening at once. And I was scared. I'm not going to lie. I was scared. Questions were being thrown at me. People were doing things at me. The nurse was putting the IV in. The phlebotomist was trying to draw the blood. The anesthesiologist was on this side of me trying to ask me questions or waiting her turn to get that information. The phlebotomist was trying to make sure that my bank blood was there. The main surgeon was over here talking to me, asking me, okay, now if you do need blood and we need more than that 1 bank of blood, unit of blood, do you want more? What do you want to do if we need more? If it's life and death, what do you want me to do? And I hesitated. And my husband's just like, what? Yeah, you want more blood? And I hesitated, and he said I was kind of blanked out. And he laughed about that, but I'm like, well, I had so much going on, so much going through my head. And I think I just blanked because I'm like, oh, yeah, this is surgery. It is serious. There is a risk to it. Every surgery is risk. But there was so much going on that I did blank. So don't be afraid. Like I did. It does go into your mind. But everything's worked out. Everything's fine. But think about those things. If you want to bank blood, bank it. It's a good thing. It's take control over your body. Know what you want. I knew what I wanted. Know what you want. And be in control on the day of your surgery. I also made it known that I did not want any extra vaccinations, any biogenetics, because now hospitals will, once you are under, if you don't have any vaccinations on record, they do have a right to do that, unless you make it known. So just make your known your wills and your desires. Thankfully, in the hospital I was at, because this was an outpatient procedure, they did not deal with any of that kind of stuff. But had it been an inpatient procedure, it would have been a bigger deal. But I just hope this helps to alleviate your fears a little bit about leading up to the surgery. I'll make another video about after the surgery. So that would probably be a little shorter. But the morning of, piece of cake.